Dan Nation? We're rolling out the first part of our totally off the hook Danette Drink series, Triple D style. All right, today we're honoring DP's out of control producer, Paulie Paps, with a wild concoction that'll set you in your own front row frenzy. I call this bad boy the Bartman Bomber. Let's start with 1 to 6 ounces of audible ale. Totally crushable. Let's throw in 2 ounces of your favorite cowboy jerky. Smells like a rancher in Flavortown to me. And let's toss in a shot of Italian relish and blend her up. All right. Let's get a glass and stir this bad boy up. Oh, that looks good. Just needs a little garnish. Oh, how about this? Some nice fresh plaid. Right off a kid from Portland, Oregon. Okay, bottoms up, Dan Nation. The box score starts now.
I don't know a lot about sports, but I can drink a lot of beer.
My motto is simple: C's get degrees.
Need a long, inappropriate hug? I'm your man.
I think I'm smarter than you, because I probably am.
Howard Coward for box score. Welcome to the box score. Fresh plaid, always the key. I'm Brock here in Los Angeles, and the Danettes are joining us from Milford, Connecticut. Only 3 Danettes today, as Seton had a plane to catch. McLovin, does this cement the fact that he's not a team player?
Yeah, I don't see him here. I'm here. I mean, I don't have a plane to catch, but I have things to do. You know, it's a big TV weekend ahead. I would have liked to get a jump, but Seton, typical, selfish.
All right, well, the words of Gene Hackman, my team's on the floor. So let's move ahead. Chris Mannix wrapped up his 2 days as guest host on the show. Paulie, can we expect DP back Monday?
Expect is the word I would use. I've never done anything 100% with Dan Patrick. I've gotten calls from him at any time of day that something's going to change. Dan is very reliable, rarely sticks out, rarely misses work, but it's funny how you can get a call sometimes. Hey, I have to go to South America tomorrow. Can you book my flight? Says back in the old days, but he should be back Monday.
Okay, excellent. Chris is a Boston guy, and when you guys had Dayton coach Archie Miller on the show today, he asked if a future job at BC was ever a thought. Cue the shocked face.
Boston's a great city, and my Aunt Dart has been at Boston College for a long, long time, a professor there. And
really?
I know it's a great school, and I also know you guys are going to get a great coach.
Archie, you can't tease me like that.
Yeah, my aunt's been at Boston College for a long time. She's actually been the academic coordinator for men's basketball probably since Coach O'Brien's been there, and she's also a professor there. So I know a lot about Boston College. It's a great place.
I hope people are watching on TV because the guys behind the glass are just...
You're completely red. You got so giddy and excited like a little girl.
Let me frame this out a little bit, as Kevin Connolly would say. Chris went to BC. His family worked at BC. He loves BC basketball, which is a tough love, if you know what I mean, because they're not the best team in the world. And so he was kind of half kidding about Archie Miller going to BC, and then we got that morsel of BC connection. He was really giddy. There wasn't nothing fake about that.
Well, McLovin, you and Mannix have an on-again, off-again relationship, but early in the show, Mannix brought up a recent event that rubbed you the wrong way.
The last New York City museum I went to, Game of Thrones party that I couldn't bring you to. Sorry about that, buddy. People were tweeting me after, and the great Michelle Beadle was tweeting me, saying, "Why can't you bring? That's cold, man. That you won't bring Perloff." I couldn't bring you to the party, Perloff. You just would have been too in character. I mean, these guys, the cast members that were there, they don't want to talk about the Dothrakis or dragons or...
That's because they're scared of the Dothrakis and the dragons.
Well,
Nobody wants to talk about them.
You know, breaking news, they're not real.
It's such a waste because he doesn't understand Game of Thrones. He's not down with George R.R. Martin. He doesn't even, who's his favorite character? He didn't even say anything. That was a great opening to talk about Game of Thrones. You know, season 4 is about to start. We could have had Paulie, could we have done 12 minutes on Game of Thrones? Would you have allowed that?
Not on my watch, but
Yeah.
Chris did send a picture of himself a couple weeks ago, and to be mean-spirited, we held that picture until today and showed it to McLovin. And that's one he really would have liked to have gone to.
I'm a little disappointed in Chris. They're Sports Illustrated colleagues, knowing what a fan McLovin is of that show. I don't know how he couldn't finagle away.
Just he invited me and I passed McLovin out of just spite.
Wow, that's not cool.
That's
not cool by me.
Paul, you didn't need to do that. You didn't need to do that.
Okay, well, Mannix may have been playing nice on the show, but he secretly told the box score the real reason you weren't invited to the party. Let's take a look at this Mannix Minute.
It's one of those things where HBO gives me invites to all of their launch parties that are in New York. And, you know, just like with a lot of things, I want to make sure that I'm invited back. Like the SI swimsuit shoots. I'm always on my best behavior during the SI swimsuit shoots because I always want to keep getting invited back. This Game of Thrones party, if I bring Perloff, there is at least a 80 to 85% chance that he does something that embarrasses me and I don't get invited back. So it was simply a matter of self-preservation. I wanted to make sure that I was brought back for the next one, so I couldn't bring Andrew to this one.
First of all, I'm not the guy who goes up to celebrities at a party. I know one person here who did embarrass himself at a DirecTV party.
Oh, was that me?
Yes, Mr. James Gandolfini.
I did do that. I was very respectful. I saw him across the way, and I'm like, this may be my only chance to ever meet Tony Soprano. May he rest in peace. And I'm like, I'm going to go over there. I'm just going to introduce myself and say hi, and hopefully he'll.
I was kind of proud of Fritzy there because I'm one of those people. I can't really go up to celebrities. I don't mind if there happens to be a conversation. I actually like talking to someone who has great accomplishments, but I have a real tough time going up to someone who's famous. And Fritzy went right over.
It is a little awkward out of the blue to just go over to someone that doesn't know you.
There's only a handful of people you would have done that for, and I thought it was cool that you did.
But you know, there is a chance they could always just say, "I'm not sure who you are," but you know, and kind of blow you up or say, "No, thanks, but I'd rather just be left to my own devices."
And wasn't it great that he was, even though it was like a 30-second conversation, he was very friendly.
Completely nice and very approachable. He smiled, appreciated that I came by, and I love him even more now.
Would I have gone up to Kit Harington at the Game of Thrones thing and asked who Jon Snow's real father was? Yes, I would have. Chris made the right call.
All right, let's curve it back towards nerd. We here on the box score always like to take things to the next level. So playing off the topic of Game of Thrones, we were wondering if there were any nerdy things you guys were involved in growing up. Before you tell us, let's take a look back at what you guys look like as kids to put this all into perspective. There's a young Paulie in some lovely pants. Todd Fritzy, I think.
Yeah, my cowboy pants.
A birthday there, and poor little Andy Perloff.
That's from a month ago.
Okay. Wow, those were great. Okay. Okay, Fritzy, you first. What were some of the nerdy hobbies you had growing up?
I used to take my football or baseball or basketball cards and I'd spread them all across the bed, especially when my older brother wouldn't let me play outside in the park sports, so I had to create my own game. And I'd set up all the players, and I'd take a little coin, and I would just have them kind of as if they're playing each other. I'd play basketball. I'd have 2 pillows, put a rubber band on top of each pillow, and take the cards and have them move around with a coin and pretend that the cards were dribbling. And later on, after I mushed all the cards together, I found out that what would have been a lot of money worth of cards if I would have kept them in good condition were totally destroyed. But that was my little sports game I played with a coin and the cards. Ooh, just under the buzzer.
I can't think of a non-nerdy thing I did. I mean, Dungeons and Dragons, C.S. Lewis novels, you name it. I was all about the sci-fi. I was into sports too, so I guess that's cool. But there was nothing I did that isn't considered nerdy.
Yeah, I was never really cool, but I never embraced the nerd culture. I remember going to see Star Wars, and I didn't like it. And my mom bought me a whole bunch of Star Wars stuff afterwards because I think all the kids were getting Star Wars stuff. It's like, I don't want any of this stuff. And like the sport I played, archery, I don't know if it's nerdy. It definitely wasn't cool. You didn't meet a lot of women doing archery by yourself in a forest, but that's about the nerdiest thing I did.
I'll just say this, Fritzy, that you ruined something with a picture on it as a child, and that carried over into your adulthood. Okay, I was in music camp. I played a flutophone, a recorder. If I had a time machine, I'd go back and blackjack myself on the head. Okay, coming up, people are going to run for covers. Fritzy pulls out his lacrosse stick, and the Danettes show off their totally crappy hoop skills. Don't go anywhere.
I just kind of research and look at different websites and celebs that are turning 40, or just girls that I had a crush on back in the day who I figured by now must be a similar age to myself. But do they have that kind of app or something like that?
I would think there's apps everywhere that someone like you could find something.
Some kind of special Cougar alert
you on a 40th birthday of any woman that has ever been remotely attractive.
I like that.
Welcome back to the box score. Fritzy, has the idea of a Cougar app got the wheels turning?
I love that idea. I'm not very technically savvy, and I'm using a phone currently that wouldn't even be able to probably get any such apps or creations. But now that he's thought about it, there's probably a quicker way for me to track down my cougars and do my research than the antiquated ways that I've been trying to
The
figure
only
out.
apps Fritzy uses are breaded or some type of dipping sauces.
That's pretty true.
Beer battered. Okay. Well, we know you've cemented your title as Cougar King on the show. Looking back on your illustrious career, can you name your top 3 favorite Cougars in recent memory?
Wow.
Well, I just happened to have some photos here, and I would go with, and this was a very tough decision to narrow it down, but Bo Derek, Kathy Ireland, and Heather Locklear. And
He said 3.
I know, but I'm trying to get extra credit. I put Jacqueline Bissett and Jacqueline Smith in the group as well. So I know you said 3, but a couple of also-rans. These would be my 5.
Wow, you know what? I'm going to go with Elle Macpherson as a first ballot all-timer. I saw her on TV the other day. She's what, mid-40s, would you guess, Fritzy?
Yeah, she's in that ballpark.
She's a knockout. She's like a freak of nature. I mean, Heidi Klum's up there too, but I'm going to go Elle Macpherson all-timer.
First, I'd like to say I think Cougar of the Week is sexist, and I'm not
Sexist?
a huge fan of the whole thing. But I like Beverly D'Angelo in Vacation.
Yeah.
Now, I know she probably
Back then,
wasn't.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think she was a Cougar at that juncture.
Yeah, well, even if she wasn't 40 yet, she played the mother of teenage kids.
Yeah.
I thought, this could be controversial.
She kind of got big like Sally Struthers.
I'm going to
But
say
that's what
right now,
happened.
I'm going to say
I used to be a fan.
I would take her in that movie over Christy Brinkley.
Christy Brinkley.
Now you're going a little.
Christy Brinkley's looking great in those Chuck Norris.
That's
workout
trolling right there.
commercials.
You don't believe that. That's Colin Coward.
No,
I'm going to go Elle Macpherson, followed closely by a middle-aged B. Arthur. And then there's Maude and those clothes. Okay.
Nice.
Well,
I
Chris,
had a Bo Derek picture in my closet in my room growing up, and did some bad things to it.
Okay. Well, Chris Mannix tickled your fancy, Fritzy, when he mentioned a women's lacrosse team was staying at his hotel. Then he took it a step further on today's show.
Fritzy, if you walked into the lobby of my hotel last night and you saw the entire California girls lacrosse team there, what would you do?
I'd probably strike up a conversation and say what's up, introduce myself, recite my resume, let them know about my sports broadcasting background.
Tell them your age.
Flex a little bit. I'd probably leave out the age. I'd probably downplay that a little bit.
Now, would you change into more like flattering clothes like when you got there?
I'd probably wear like really tight sweats showing off things. That was the move back in the day. I'm not saying it was particularly successful, but I'd walk around with my weightlifting belt, a little Karate Kid headband, some wristbands, a Ghostbusters or Miami Vice T-shirt or some old '80s TV show, tight Zubaz pants showing what's what, and give it a shot. Couple cheesy lines, and you never know what's going to happen from there.
Okay, well, Fritzy, we here on The Box Score like to make dreams come true. So we're going to give you an opportunity to practice some pickup lines you may have used on that lacrosse team. So please, take it away.
I like to just distance myself from the segment. Thank you.
I researched some lacrosse terms, and this is what we got. Lacrosse my heart, I think I'm falling in love with you. What's a guy got to do to get in the crease? They call me 30-second rule, but I can assure you that only happened once. What do you say, sweetheart? Up for a little game of slap, check, and tickle? I'm a backdoor kind of guy. Comfortable with that?
All right, that's it. I'm calling this one. I'm calling this one.
Check that one.
I'm calling this one on Account of Darkness. We still got to work here tomorrow. Dan wants to come back. We want to have him back. No dice.
Okay, speaking of wasted effort, let's take a look at you guys playing basketball in the look-in today. Check out this awful air layup there by Seton misses that massively. Now Mannix way over the top. McLovin, what happened to your team chemistry?
We had no chemistry. Mannix was trying to make me look bad, I think, because he didn't want to win. He's a front row guy, and he sort of helped out his boys.
Okay, luckily nobody noticed your horrible game of hoops. Oh, except the NBA guest you had on immediately following that mediocre display.
Bring in Jamal Crawford, LA Clippers guard, joining us here on the Dan Patrick Show. Jamal, you probably didn't see that display of basketball. It wasn't very good.
Actually, I did see it. Did you just airball layup?
Yes. Yeah, I did do that, Jamal.
You did?
Yeah.
All right, we'll act like we didn't see it. It's all right. It happens.
That is the worst. I mean, like, the problem is when you're doing these things, like playing 2-on-2 here, you forget that the cameras are transmitting this out to the world. You're like, well, thank God nobody saw me say or do that. But sometimes it comes back to haunt you. Yeah, that was not good.
Got a little rip. I think this guy's won the 6th Man of the Year award on a top team in the league. He's probably got a good chance he's going to win it again, the 6th Man of the Year award. He's totally.
I mean, it's okay. One thing for like all the guys who watch Dan shoot, because he's got great form. He was a college athlete. Like pro players watching us play basketball is a disaster.
Humiliated.
Okay, so you're all waiting for someone to score just one basket, and finally, the least likely of you put the points on the board.
Oh, no!
That's a win.
Yeah!
That's a win.
Damn.
NBA insider.
I love Paulie, man. That move in the low post.
Game's over. I don't know what you guys are doing. The game's over. Not a big surprise from where I'm standing here. You know, it's not about skill, it's about heart, and I got a lot of it. It's clogged up completely with barbecue and wing sauce, but I got a lot of heart.
All right, cut down the nets next time. Okay, coming up, the Danettes take a few questions from the common people, and Fritzy brings things to a screeching halt. Don't move. Welcome back to the Box Score. Time to hear from the fans out there in Dan Nation. So we're going to go to the phone lines in this segment. Paulie, who do you got?
Ooh, let's see. First up, I'm going to go with Shay and Irving. Shay, you there, buddy?
Yeah, I'm here, Paulie.
Well, let me hear. Word on the street is that you loaded up on Dayton last night and came out great.
I slammed Dayton after talking to Danny. I won $545 on that, and now extremely hungover because Danny made me money, and I celebrated last night a little too.
That's fantastic. Do you have any questions for us or the guys?
Yeah, I got a question. You get, the ball boy comes in to fill in for Danny because he's on permanent vacation. What's it like is it like a substitute teacher in high school? Like, y'all throw stuff at him in between breaks? Does he leave a report card for the boss? Does he snitch y'all out? How does that work?
That's a good question. He hasn't snitched us out, but it is like a substitute. We try to get away with a lot more stuff. I don't think we would have played a 2-on-2 game with Dan here. We kind of do things we wouldn't normally do. Is that right?
Yeah, I think it's a little more laid back, and I know it wasn't going to be called an ass today like it was earlier in the week on the show.
It's early.
It is early,
wow.
But there is a little bit more of a laid back kind of thing. It depends on Dan's mood. And sometimes he's like having a great time singing and dancing, and it's awesome. Other times you could tell early on, as we could all attest to, that it could be a rough sledding for the next 3 hours.
There's an undercurrent of fear when Dan is here. Whatever the opposite of fear is, that's what you have with Maddox.
Hey, Shay, good job on the bet yesterday. Call back in because Dan's going to hear that on Monday.
I'm going to need his advice. They're getting 10.5, and I'm going to need to know how much I need to parlay it on.
Fantastic. Talk to you Monday, buddy. I think the next caller is Alan in New York. Alan, what do you have for us, buddy?
Hey, my question is basically for the back row. It seemed like during the 2-on-2 game, Chris Mannix not only put the blame completely on McLovin, but then he also kind of threw it at Fritzy and said, geez, I'd even take Fritzy over this. How do you guys feel about that?
That was a little rude. He took a shot for no reason. I wasn't included in the game the other day. The guys were playing, which is fine. But taking a shot that I would even take Fritzy, if it's like there's someone laying out in the middle of the street that's missing limbs. That's kind of the category he put me in. I think that took a shot at both of us, and it was just unnecessary. And he's getting a little too comfortable hanging with the Danettes in the man cave to make such bold statements.
I mean, it's on the game tape. You saw it. Basically, I was playing defense like Michael Cooper. I was like Bobby Jones. I was like peanut butter on Seton. Chris can't play defense. Paulie took him to school. It was a great shot. Thanks. But come on. Paulie has one move. He fakes this way and goes right. Everybody knows that. My 3-year-old daughter knows that. Mannix, what are you doing?
So, Alan, thanks for the call. And, we're journalists here, so we're going to give fair time to one of the guys who got dominated at stake. Chris Mannix, you on the line, buddy?
You guys have known me for like 5 years now.
Right.
And you see me in the backseat of this car seething as I'm being taken to task for this last minute and a half. I don't think I can fidget more than I have.
I got to tell you, Chris, I don't have a lot of victories per se in any sporting events, non-archery related. So as soon as Seton and I beat you 1-0 in one-on-one, as silly as it seemed, you notice I went right back and sat down. I will never play you guys in anything again.
You did. It was a walk-off. It was like Costanza telling a good joke and walking out the door. You left. That was it for you.
Now, how were you mad at McLovin? McLovin called you out. You called him out.
Well, my irritation was that Perloff immediately decided to play the blame game. There's no like, hey, slapping hands, good job, good effort. I mean, do people know that game took us 2 full days to actually finish?
It's like a game of cricket.
You'd think there'd be some, commiseration with your teammate. Instead, I got the death stare, which I got to tell you, it's par for the course. I mean, when McLovin was doing a lot of writing for SI, if he had a bad story, he'd first blame the editor, then it would be the fact checker's fault. The fact is, Perloff thinks it's everybody's fault but himself, and that's become a staple of his personality.
Yeah, that's totally true. By the way, Chris, have you been replaying our offensive series about things we could have done differently? I've gone back at some of the X's and O's, like maybe you shouldn't have airballed that layup, maybe I should have bricked 3 jumpers. There's a lot of things we could have done differently.
There were, and I think number one was we didn't take advantage of our size on the inside. I mean, we were Baylor going up against Wisconsin, and we didn't throw it into Isaiah Austin and Corey Jefferson. We should have been taking advantage of the height edge in the post and worked it that way. That game would have ended a lot quicker.
We'll get him next time.
Chris, thanks a lot for calling. Thanks for filling in, bud. We'll talk to you soon.
You got it, guys.
Brock, back to you, buddy.
Thanks, Paulie, and thanks, Dan Nation, for all your calls. Coming up, it's time to wrap up the week here on the Box Score. We'll be right back.
Hey, Brock is the new host of the Box Score, which means we got 4 Danettes and 7 Chins.
Pass the insulin, Artie. Pass the insulin. Okay, welcome back to the Box Score. I'm here at the Box Score bar. Fritzy, no Dan the last couple of days. Were you feeling a little less intimidated?
I was, which is sad because I've worked with Dan for 12 years, but it did have a little bit of a substitute teacher kind of feel to it. And when Dan's in the right mood and he's coming in smiling and doing his thing and just seems all relaxed and we know it's going to be a fun day, then it's great. But when he's in one of those other moods, which he's entitled to, as we all are, we all have our mood swings, then it can be rough sledding. But I've been ripped horribly over these last few days. Some of it warranted, some of it not so much. It was a little refreshing having a break from that the last couple of days.
Well,
yeah.
TGIF. Okay. Well, having no Dan on the show didn't mean that you were safe from the host wrath.
If my brother was coaching against me, I wouldn't want to coach against him. I wouldn't want, because you'd be caught up in the euphoria of the moment, you'd be happy for your team, but after an hour and a half of celebrating, all of a sudden the next stage kicks in and help him through what is undoubtedly a tough moment for him. Yeah, Fritzy.
My Little League team beat my older brother's Little League team for the championship, and I saw the tears and the fit that he threw losing to us. I would not want to go through that terror again when I was 10 and he was 12.
How is that remotely comparable? Honestly, how is that even in the realm that we're talking about?
It's 2 brothers competing for I know it's Little League isn't a national title or a Super Bowl like that. I don't know where he got off challenging me like that and just putting it totally down. I think it was perfectly relevant. We were talking about brothers. It wasn't coach against coach, and it wasn't on the Harbaugh Super Bowl or for an NCAA title. But this was for the Little League Championship, which was a big deal in Brighton Beach. And I'm playing against my older brother, and our team beat him, and he was hysterical, crying and throwing pillows when we got home, and was very upset.
But would you have said all that if Dan was the host on that topic?
I probably would have, and then he would have chided me and said, "What does that got to do with the Miller brothers?" But I'm standing by that. I thought that was perfectly relevant to share that story at that moment. And Maddox was in the mood to give me some crap for no reason.
Did your brother have any reason to cry since you both were on the bench?
We were actually all-stars, but if you got to be a wise guy, my first place trophy was like this, and his second place trophy was like that, and that might not be the only measuring comparisons, but we're not going to get into that.
Well, quickly, what position did you play?
I played pitcher and first base, and so did my brother.
Simultaneously.
Yeah, it was kind of like right in front of second base, kind of fielding both spots. But I was pretty good back in the day.
All right, well, who's on next week there?
Okay, Reggie Miller is going to join us on Monday. Harold Reynolds with the start of the 2014 baseball season. Hope to hear from maybe some winning coaches off of the Elite Eight games. Cal Ripken Jr. on Wednesday, and other surprises, as our friend Dan likes to say.
Excellent. Thanks for watching The Box Score. Tune in weekdays at 3 p.m. Eastern only on Audience Channel 239 right here on DirecTV.
I don't know a lot about sports, but I can drink a lot of beer.
My motto is simple. C's get degrees.
Need a long, inappropriate hug? I'm your man.
I think I'm smarter than you because I probably am.
Hey, thanks for watching the box score. Holy cow!